And what? Hello, you two on the Tempest Book. I need my guest.
Hey guys, Kevin Falk here. You guys probably have seen my reviews. You guys check out my channel. I do TV reviews, movie reviews. Sometimes I do trailer reactions from time to time, and I do movie previews as well. So definitely check out my channel. And happy to be on Tevia's channel.
Yep. Yep. And we're gonna talk about 11/26, the new Hulu miniseries that came out. I think. How many weeks
President's
ago?
Day weekend. I know that. I don't know exactly what the date was, but it was President's Day weekend.
Yeah. And
Actually, no, February 14th, I think, because it came out like the same day as Vinyl. I know that, and the same day as when The Walking Dead came back.
yep, that's true. You know about that. So it came on the same time at the like all the other shows.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, since this year, what do we in parts? Like there are 8-part miniseries, and whatever you don't know what 11/26 is about, 11/26 is based off the Stephen King book, which I never read. Have you read it?
I heard it's very long, and like I heard it's very long, like all of his books. And I heard like if you watch the main series, you should watch the book. But I heard they stayed pretty true to the story. I just heard they made a lot of change, like the ending especially, and then like some of the characters. We'll get into it when we talk about it. But like I definitely heard it's good, but I heard the miniseries like a lot better constructed, definitely with a lot of things.
Yeah. I agree. Because my brother, Avi, he read the book and he wasn't a fan of the changes. He didn't look.
Yeah, I did hear that. I heard if you read the book, you don't really love the miniseries because the book is a lot different.
Yeah.
Like we'll get into some of those things, but anyway.
Yeah, like for example, for example, Joe, for what I heard from my brother, Avi, she had the main protagonist, chick, I think, when he goes back in time, he finds his brother. When the show, they change that. We'll get to that later. And
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, this series I think was made by J.J. Abrams and directed by I think Stephen King. I think he produced it.
He was definitely part of it because he was in all the behind the scenes things. So I don't know exactly what I think he might have produced it. I don't really know. But I know he was definitely part of it because he was in all the behind the scenes things.
Yeah, like he produced it. And J.J. Abrams, I think he directed the first episode, but all other episodes directed by different directors, which is fine. And if you have seen another show counted like Man in High Castle also did the same premise with on Amazon.
Oh yeah, I started watching that. I still got to finish it because like what I was doing is it takes me so long to like, you know how I do like individual recaps for like some episodes, they're like 30 minutes long. That's why it takes me very long to do that. So probably just gonna end up binging that before the second season comes out. I really enjoy what I've seen of it. I just need to finish it. So
yeah, and once you get to the ending of that show, oh boy, it could.
Oh yeah, I heard it gets crazy.
Yeah, I won't spoil what happened, but that show did nuts. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Okay, let's start with the plot. You start first.
All right. So basically, show's about you got Jake Epping here. And for me, I think the show's really about how he's not really done anything that significant with his life. He's a high school teacher. His students don't really appreciate him that much. And he's getting a divorce with his wife. You know, things just aren't really going well for him. And one day, this guy, Al, gives him this opportunity to basically tells him that, you know, he's going to tell him something crazy. But he leads him to basically this diner where they always walk. And the next time that Jake sees Al, all of a sudden Al has cancer. We don't know what's going on with him. And Al basically tells him that he has the opportunity to go through this closet. And when he goes through, it'll be 1960. And he has to basically go on this mission to stop the assassination of JFK, basically find out if Lee Harvey Oswald is the killer of JFK, if someone else could have done it. And if Lee Harvey Oswald is the killer, he is to kill Lee Harvey.
Kill the son of a bitch. Right. And but before we get to the old time stuff and time portal stuff, Jake does go through first, but then he talked to Al, but then Al he really explained why did he want to stop JFK? Because if he told anyone else, they would stop them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jake was confused about this. Said, "Stop me from what? From saving JFK," which. Here's the thing that kind of the bug with part one. Part one was great. It did set everything up, but
I love the first one.
Yeah, I felt confused because apparently, if you go through the time portal again, it resets. So it resets everything. So let me get this straight. If you go back to the president, caught the treatment, and then you go back in, it resets and everything go back to normal. What?
Well, basically, what the idea is that if he goes through the time portal again, everything he did before is erased and it just resets. Not if he goes back to the present. If he goes back to the present, what he did in the past is set in stone. That's now what the world is. But if he goes back to, say he goes back to the present, then he goes back into the closet and goes back to the past, then the entire thing is erased and it just resets, which would kind of make sense because you go back somewhere and you go back in time. I mean, you're changing things, and everything changed before he left. He's done there. His mission is over. He goes back. He's now starting over. I think that's kind of what the idea was, which that was something I thought was really cool. A lot of these time travel shows have certain rules, but they do very similar things. 11/22/63 had a lot of different kinds of rules that I haven't really seen before. Like, for example, you go back to the past, everything you do is erased, or something like, you know, when the past is pushing back, things like that. I thought those were really cool. Rules especially, that was one of the things that really kept me interested in it. You really saw the past really was the villain of the show, and in many ways, the past I really thought was the true villain.
Yeah, which I like, because that actually something new at you, because usually in time travel movie or time travel show, you know, they have rules. But sometimes they break those rules, and nothing happened. Well, Doctor Who does it, but when Doctor Who does it, makes sense.
Yeah.
And that show, it does time travel a lot, but
Doctor Who, I feel like anything is possible, honestly. Like, the rules changed so much on that show because of the Doctor. Like, I feel like anything's possible.
Yeah, like
when we're going in like the afterlife, anything is possible, really.
Yeah, like Doctor wanted to show that breakthrough. Screw the rules.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, but like Legends of Tomorrow, Legends of Tomorrow, for example, like they have certain rules. Like, for example, last week's episode, they had the whole rule of like, you do this, there's like a time, like this, it puts you in that time period. And that's something I found very interesting with 11/22/63. It had its own rules, like all time travel things do. But I thought the rules here were just made a lot of sense, and nothing really felt like that didn't make sense. It made a lot of sense to me, and I really did enjoy that. And that was definitely one of the things that kept me engrossed. Is he going to follow these rules? Is he going to change things? Because, you know, Al gives him a bunch of that. The first episode, there's a lot of exposition, but it's necessary exposition. It's not just out of place exposition.
It's not forced exposition.
Yeah, what you were gonna say?
Sorry, it's not forced exposition. Like it's organic exposition. It's organic because Al needs to tell him in order to succeed. But Jake realized that you know it was gonna change. Like, and Al said, "You little shit, but you can everything," and then he dies.
Yeah, that's the thing that I found that's the other thing I was confused about. When Al first died, I was like, did he actually die? Or I'm assuming that he died, but we do kind of see him again other times. We'll get into it when we see him in episode 7 that I find very interesting. But I think we're supposed to believe that, yeah, Al did indeed die of that cancer, and now Jake has to basically finish what Al started.
Yep, which I like because he felt guilty, which at the same time, it does kind of suck when you don't want to see more Al, but you know what? It makes sense because I think the book did that too.
Yeah, Jake kind of has to do his own. I heard the book is actually a bunch of journal entries. Like, it's all of Jake, like, kind of just remember how Al gives him all those like journals and things. Yeah. I heard the book is basically all that. Like, it's all the journals and things like that. Jake's writing in a book and he writes down like how his day was. We don't actually see it. We kind of just hear it from Jake's perspective. And then I heard it kind of changes towards the second half. So that's very interesting. The show, obviously, you can't do that. You have to have a full-fledged story. So you can't just have to narrate everything. So I thought the idea of him kind of, you know, thinking of Al or remembering that Al said this to him, you know, it really kept us invested because
it makes more sense.
Al said this, who knows what he's going to do? Is he going to go against what Al said? Because especially the thing that I found most interesting when Al said, don't get attached to this life, don't fall in love, things like that. And of course, Jake breaks most of those rules by the end of the show, which we'll get into. But that's one of the things I found most interesting is that exposition dump. It was necessary for him to know all the rules because we also want to know the rules. That's stuff we want to hear. With something like this, we want to hear those rules. We want to know, you know, what are the pros of doing this and what are the cons? What are the consequences, things like that. And that's all stuff that we saw in the first episode, and I love that.
And what's going to happen to the present if you change something in the past? Like, what the ramifications of doing this, which I like. Otherwise, I want a time travel show. I know. Okay, long show. But not Doctor Who. There's another show. No, I remember. Unlike some other time travel movie or some other time travel show that do these planets, which they F it up. This
What
show
show?
I think makes more sense and organic. Don't get me wrong, I like Doctor Who. Doctor Who I think is a good show, but sometimes it makes no sense. But that's
Yeah.
different topic. But other time travel shows try to do this, that screw it up. How? Something stupid.
Mhm.
Or Marvel did with their
What
time
was
travel.
it? 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys, seen the movie, and the movie was okay. The show I like, but they do make some changes. And I made a lot of changes for Soul Potato. Like, they take the premise, but they do their own at the way with it.
Yeah,
Which is
12 Monkeys. I've heard is interesting. I definitely do want to check that out.
yeah. I seen the first season. Season 1 that I liked. Season 2 I'm interested in because I won't spoil what happened in that show because I wanted to watch it myself.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to check that out.
Anywho, what talk about the like the cast of 11-260? We have James Franco as the main lead. I think
Yeah.
he was great.
Yeah, I thought he was perfect because here's the thing with James Franco. He's done comedy and he's done drama, but he's never really done like a big TV
Sci-fi.
before. I don't really see him as the TV show guy. This really was us getting to see his chops because a lot of the show, I mean, everything, rides on Jake. Jake has to make the show. He carries the show. I thought he was a great protagonist because the other thing with Jake is that he's a good man. He doesn't make terrible decisions. He's a good man. Obviously, he has problems, but in the end, he is a good man just trying to do the right thing. And you really do see him as, when you think of the quintessential hero, that's exactly what Jake is. He fits into that category perfectly, and there's nothing that doesn't make him a hero. And I just think they did that perfectly because a lot of shows nowadays, we have more anti-heroes than we do heroes.
Yeah.
And that's something I really enjoyed is that Jake was a hero through and through. He never did anything that you question. You never be like, oh, Jake beat up or killed this person. Why would he do that? You knew why he wanted to do that. Like when he goes to kill Harry's family, you know why.
Harry's father.
Yeah, you know why he Harry's father and save Harry's family. You knew why he wanted to do that, obviously, because he wanted to save Harry. He wanted to save his family. In his mind, he was doing a good thing, and everything he did rided on doing a good thing. Despite what Al told him, he always remained a good man. I think he was definitely probably one of the highlights of the show, without a doubt. It really showed, I think, James Franco's talent. And
agreed.
I really hope he does another show because he really is great, definitely.
I agree. James Franco was perfect because usually with these shows over again now, which unfortunately is a trend I don't like these days, is that when the protagonist by time and I fall in love, it's the same old bullshit. Like I fall in love with the person I do in past, but then I can't be with you, and it's so stupid, so cliche and bullshit. But this one is smart, and the love at the not love song. The love story of the movie, movie. I can't get my turn mixed up.
It's kind of it's a mini movie.
Yeah, it is. Sort of. Well, basically, at the James Franco at the movie time makes sense. Because unlike some other show I know that they try to bring them a love story. No, this one is more like human interaction, more like organic writing and organic. The dialogue, which I like, and for
that's the thing with Sadie. Perfect. Sarah Gadon, first of all, I thought was perfect as Sadie. I thought she did an incredible job. She really, you understood that character. You cared about her character, and she wasn't just a generic love interest. Like the first time they meet, of course, they're gonna fall in love, but it just feels natural. Like it makes sense. Jake didn't go to find love. He went and he found love, and then it became more important to him than anything. Because again, remember, nothing really mattered in his life. He had things in his life, but didn't really appreciate life. Sadie's kind of the thing that gets him to appreciate life, and he really starts caring about things after he meets Sadie. And that's something I definitely really enjoyed. And their chemistry was just spot on. Every scene, I thought they had this perfect chemistry. They worked perfect together, and you just saw that he really cared about her. She also has this like cute innocence to her. Like it really embodies the 60s because we are in the 60s. She embodies that innocent side of the 60s. Sadie really that innocent side, and I think she was just perfect.
I agree because Sadie was a great at the love betrayal for Jake because you didn't know how to with a lot of drama. Okay, not drama, more like a miniseries. They try to do a love story, but then they screw it up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the trend we're getting now, I think, with some other show with I gotta say this. What trend we're getting? Damn it! I completely forgot my train of thought.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, like Ransom always try to do love story, but they screw it up.
Yeah, they're trying. Yeah, I know they're trying to do one with like Ray and Kendra. It's working,
Which,
but then last week's they kind of ruined it.
yeah, like they screw it up.
Hmm.
Like I personally, I think the Atom and Hawker should be together. It's not a good idea. On professional, it's fine. But, like one one episode, fine, whatever. Don't like be over the head. Anyways, speaking of the protagonist and antagonist, let's talk about another interesting character, Joe.
Oh yeah, Bill.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah,
Yeah, let's
Bill.
talk about Bill because Bill for me was my only real problem with the show. If I'd have one problem with the show, it would be Bill. First of all, I liked his character. I thought he was good for when he was introduced. George McKay did a good job. The problem is he made so many stupid decisions for me. That was really my problem. Is that I'm like, Bill, what are you doing? Like Jake is telling you to do this and you do this. And I understand Bill had other things he wanted to do. But when they started that whole thing with him and Marina, I was really at first like they're just trying to force this down our throats. They're just trying to give Bill a love interest and they're just trying to make us care about them. But then when we realized that Bill basically wanted to choose his own destiny and just wanted to be Marina and that she actually loved him, then I really started to like it. What I hated was the whole thing with Bill's sister. It didn't work at all for me. That whole storyline with, oh, my sister was killed by Frank and everything. And then all of a sudden, episode 5, he thinks he sees her. I have no idea how that makes any sense whatsoever.
My bet that the Pats are pushing back. That's my best guess because that thing happened at the end of the final episode.
Yeah, definitely. It does. It did make sense that the past was kind of pushing back. But what he decided to do was just stupid. The fact that he just went with her over the shooting was dumb. Other than that, though, I liked his character. I liked that dynamic he had with Jake. I thought they had some really good, like, kind of like buddy comedy there. And I liked that they added him into the show. But we should mention, though, that he was actually not in the book. He was in the book, but he was not to the extent that he was in this. And that was something I know a lot of people complained about. They said, oh, Bill has too much to do. Why are you giving him so much to do? For me, I thought it worked because every time travel show, you need a sidekick. You just need someone like that.
Yeah, you need someone to ground that the show.
Yeah. For example, Doctor Who has like, his trusted companion. Whoever that is, he has that. The
Master had his companion or her companion now.
Yeah, his or her companion. Back to the Future, Marty has the Doc. He needs that. You need that character. Jake needs a Bill, and I was fine with that. I didn't like when they started to give Bill kind of his own thing. It didn't exactly work for me, but I did like that in the end they did end up killing Bill because it just was the way to do it. His character wasn't really working. His storyline wasn't working, and they ended it before it got really stupid.
So let's just kill him off. That shocked me because I didn't expect Bill to die because I thought Bill was going to live an entire series, but holy shit! When in episode 7, let's back up a sec. Speaking of Bill, actually, one thing that didn't with Bill and Joe is that after they kill at the father, which holy shit, that was dark. Like, that was messed up.
That was crazy. Josh Duhamel, though, I gotta say, he was definitely one of the biggest surprises out of this because I've seen him in so many like romantic comedies. He's not good. He has this charm to him. He does. He has this leading man kind of like charm. He's good with that. But he really got to show his darker roots. And I really think this shows that we can take him seriously because a lot of people just think of Josh Duhamel as the pretty boy. They think of him as, the love interest in this movie or in this Nicholas Sparks thing or something like that.
Oh, I hate Nicholas Sparks bullshit.
Yeah, I can't stand that shit. But basically,
I think
really got to show his chops. He really is a good actor when you give him something really good to do. He was, I think, perfect as Frank. I mean, he was menacing, he was dark. I mean, everything about him. I mean, I was terrified with this guy, and you really could tell how this guy is going to end up killing his family. He is
like, holy shit. Like, he's unhinged, he's psychotic, he's like insane.
I mean, the big scene, for example, when he's like shooting the cows, when he's like telling to beat those cows. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat. I had no idea what was going to happen. And I really thought that was going to be the moment where they have Jake do something terrible, but Jake didn't do that because, again, he's a good man, and it really does show that. Frank, on the other hand, is the exact
opposite.
Yeah, he's the opposite. He's this evil, ruthless, just no limits. He has no limits. He has no boundaries whatsoever.
Hits his own wife.
Yeah. He kills when he wants to. He beats up his wife. He thinks that she's having sex with Jake and things like that. I mean, he literally says, "You want to fuck my wife?" Like, he really doesn't care. They're in a public place, and he literally says that to her. He doesn't care, and I just think he got that down perfectly. And you could totally understand why Jake had to kill him. There just was no other way. But what I liked is that Jake didn't first think he had to kill him. He thought that there was a way to save him, maybe try to distract him or something. But Jake realized that some things you have to do, and this is something he had to do. He had to kill Frank because there was no other way to save his family. He just had to kill him because Frank was going to kill his family regardless. And I love that episode. Was by far one of my favorites. That entire episode, I was so riveted. I had no idea what was going to happen. And even though Jake's not going to die, you're scared. You're scared that something bad is going to happen to him. Even though he's not going to die, it was still very thrilling. I love the way that was done, and just incredible episode. Episode 2 was just really showed how great the show is at suspense.
Yeah, episode 1 was a good pilot. Episode 2, like up the game, and holy shit! Like, and we need to see you at the I completely forgot the father's name. I only completely forgot about that. Like when you get
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Well, no, not Lee Harvey Oswald. Like after when Jake killed the father, like that was dark. Like oh shit! Like I was in MSC because I find he's gonna make things worse. Like after he killed, like after the father got killed, like the son, his friend, basically. Like holy shit! And like, speaking of Lee Harvey Oswald, let's get to Lee Harvey Oswald because this is a subject that I'm willing to talk about. Actually, wait. Speaking of Bill, one thing I did not expect in general, I didn't expect Jay to put Bill in a mental hospital.
Yeah, that was interesting the way they did that.
That was intense.
Yeah, it was intense, but I could understand why Jake did that because Jake realized that and I even said in my reviews that you can't trust Bill. Bill's a shady guy. He's not going to do what you tell him to do. He's going to do his own thing.
Yeah, and Jake realized the second shooter.
The mental hospital.
Holy shit. Like, Bill killed him in the second shooter in case Oswald missed. Holy shit! Wait.
And the way that Bill tried to say, "Oh, he's actually from the future," things like that. Like he had to put him away. Bill was he couldn't do it anymore. He had to put him away.
Like Bill even said, like, "Fuck your mission. I'm gonna do it my way."
Yeah, definitely. He wanted to do it his own way. He didn't care what Jake wanted him to do. He had to get rid of him because
he couldn't care anymore.
His orders, and I thought it perfectly made sense to put him in a mental institution. Plus, it was a good way to get rid of his character. It made perfect sense why he thought. And then that one scene in episode 7 when he doesn't think that that Jake is real. I mean, it's crazy stuff when he's like, "Oh no, you're not real. Just go away."
Like electro shots.
I was thinking one of two things. Either he was going to kill someone. I thought either he's going to kill one of them. He's going to shoot one of them. Something bad's going to happen because, it's the penultimate episode. I didn't know what was going to happen. Yep. He's going to shoot one of them or he's just going to fucking die. And, of course, he throws himself out a window. And Sadie's reaction, I mean, pretty much captures everything. I mean.
Yeah, he can't take it anymore. Like, I can't do it anymore.
He couldn't do it, threw himself out a window. I thought that was definitely a good way to end things for him.
Yeah. Well, let's get to Lee Harvey Oswald because this is the one storyline that we know at the ending, but he's still like intense because he's Russian, but at the same time though, like you got to kind of feel for the guy. Yeah, the guy after he was messed up, he was dark and yet he had issues, which in real life we know he did, but we don't know he did. And his story actually was interesting to see how it played out.
And that's the thing that's most interesting about us, that you go into the show, you're thinking it's going to be all about Jake and Lee Harvey Oswald. It's really not. It's more about Jake and Sadie, but Lee Harvey Oswald is a big part of it, obviously. And I like that. At first, I was like, okay, they're not really developing his character that much. He's kind of just arguing with Marina. I don't really care about him and the whole thing with her. Oh, you need to not be as revealing. You're a prostitute. All these things. You're a slut. I'm like, I don't care. But then in episode 6, that's when I thought he actually started to get really interesting. Yeah. He showed how he's struggling. And also his mother, who pretty much I think is the reason why he decides to do what he does, because she's the person who tells him, you have all this potential, do something with your life. And in many ways, that's kind of what Jake is doing. Jake set out to do something with his life because he was—
Lee Harvey Oswald did the same thing. He wanted to do something with his life too. Something
obviously
big.
For very different reasons, but kind of the same thing. And I think they did that really well. And I definitely really enjoyed that. Daniel Weber, I will admit, did something weird with his voice because he didn't do a very good job of hiding his accent. I could tell the whole time he was British, but I do think he did a pretty good job. He showed that Lee Harvey Oswald is not a bad guy. He's been through a lot. He wanted to do something significant with his life, and he was tired of the bullshit. He thought that the FBI was out to get him, and That's basically why.
And the CIA too.
Yeah, the CIA, the FBI. He had no, he didn't know if Jake was out to get him or not. But here's the thing I found most interesting. At the very end, in the last episode, Jake says that whole conversation where he says, "Oh, Lee came to me and said all these things." I'm kind of wondering if he actually said that, because I kind of feel like maybe that's why, that's how he knew Jake was going to be here. Because when Jake got there, Lee didn't seem necessarily, surprised.
Him.
Yeah, he seemed like he was expecting to see him. So I'm kind of wondering, maybe Lee did in fact say that to him and Jake wasn't lying. But yeah, I think his portrayal was very good. I think he did a very good job. And then Sherry Jones as well as Margaret, I thought she also did a great job. Definitely, she was very good. I don't know why they list her as like the third in like the main cast, because she didn't have a lot to do, but she definitely did a good job for what she had. Her relationship with Lee Harvey Oswald's a good one, and I definitely really did enjoy that.
I agree with that too, because that relationship, it's not really a happy, it's more a poison relationship, because
it's toxic.
Picture, like, she's like, holy shit, like, how did these two, I think, met, found each other? I have no idea. We probably never know, but that was a poison. And even though he had a family, you can tell he's still unhinged. And
it definitely, there was something just not right in his head. You could definitely tell throughout the whole show, something's just not right. The way he's just making guns, the way he has this rage about everything, it was just coming out. You could just tell that anger was going to come out inside of him. And episode 8, it finally came out. You could definitely tell.
Yep. Speaking of, like one episode I did right now with I think episode 3 or 4, when you get to see the Confederate flag.
George de Morin shield.
George de Morin shield. Because George de Morin shield, apparently he was I think a KGB agent or CIA agent. I'm not sure. And he wanted Oswald not to kill JFK, because he didn't want JFK to die. Because everybody loved JFK, but that conspiracy did give him intrigue, because about the whole conspiracy. Okay, for those we don't know, about what we're talking about, like, and basically, if you took history class, like we all did, JFK, was elected president, and some people believe it was CIA operation to kill JFK. Other people believe it was the KGB. And this whole conspiracy theory was so big that it's so confusing that we don't know who's telling the truth. And did the show succeed in doing that? I have no idea.
The thing with me, here's the thing. We don't know if this stuff is true. That's the thing I like. They kind of made up as they went along, because we don't actually know the real story. But they try to tell as many stories as possible. I had no idea about Lee Harvey Oswald and George de Morin shield. I didn't know really anything about Lee Harvey Oswald. And I think the show told me enough stuff about Lee Harvey Oswald. The show, though, wasn't about Lee Harvey Oswald. And that's the thing I heard a lot of people say. They didn't tell enough about Lee Harvey Oswald. The show was not about him. It was about Jake. Trying to find out, how to go, with his primary goal to kill the president, but falling in love, and that becomes more important.
Or to save the president, not kill the president. You mix up.
To kill, to not kill the president, but then falls in love, and that just becomes more important than Lee Harvey Oswald.
And speaking of the whole, we have on the whole time Jake thing, I can since we got a time skip to 960, 962.
Oh yeah, that was crazy the way they did that. Episode 3, I thought was very well done though, because like the way they did that. And here's the thing I was going to say that changes from the book. When he's like the teacher in episode 3, I heard there is a large portion of the book where he's just teaching, and that's like the whole thing of the book. He's just teaching classes over and over again because that's his life. But obviously that'd be boring. And the thing the thing I really like the show did is that they skipped so rapidly in time, because they had to get to those things. They had to they had 8 episodes and they used them perfectly. They made those skips in time when they needed to. And the way they do that, when he's walking down the hallway, it's 1960, walking again, it's 1961, walking again, it's 1962. Which is perfect, because it shows this is now his life. He needs to hide out. Now it's 1962. He doesn't have to do it anymore. And I didn't want to see a whole thing of him teaching. Nobody really wanted to see that. And it would make sense why they went to 1962, because Jake even says, "Oh, I just have to be in this job till 1962," and then 1962 he's out of it. I thought it was a very good transition. But then episode 7, I mean, that was crazy when they kept skipping around every 5 seconds. I mean, that was crazy the way they did that.
5 days assassination, 7 days assassination, 8 days assassination.
Yeah, but of course they had to get to the assassination. You just knew they had to do that. And plus, really, I think the point of episode 7 was to show that Jake's life isn't really going anywhere because of his amnesia.
Going to hell.
And Sadie had to turn around, and then they got until it actually, was significant, got importance.
Speaking of Sadie, I completely forgot. What talk about another character?
Oh, yeah.
Husband. Or I can call psychopath and complete insane asshole.
Oh, yeah, T.R. Knight, Johnny Clayton. I mean, that guy was... But he hammed it up so much, but you need to. I mean, that guy's crazy. He really...
nuts.
That scene in episode 5 was just incredible. That one scene where it's like one take.
Yeah, with the bleach.
Yeah, he said drink the bleach and everything. Jake's not actually going to do it. You don't know what he's going to do with the bleach.
Yeah.
He's going to do something with that bleach.
You know, so he goes, stay alive or stay dead.
That scene was crazy. Sadie's like badly bleeding, and then he's like, drink the bleach, and then he throws the bleach in his face.
That was awesome.
That was awesome, but it was insane as well. And the way that was done was so well because, again, Jake killed someone, but he had to kill that person. You understood.
Yeah, self-defense.
Johnny, one thing that I think the show didn't do as well as they could have, but I think they did do well for the most part, is that I kind of wanted to see more of Jake, why'd I kill, things like that, kind of it, the demons inside of him. Because the second episode, they do this great thing where he's really thinking about Frank and he's thinking about everything that happened there. And
I killed you.
Goes away. And I understood they need to move on from it, but that was like the one thing I don't think the show did as well as they could have. But I understand they obviously had to make skips in time. They didn't really have time to focus on that. They needed to get to other things. I get that.
Yeah,
like one thing besides Bill that I don't think the show did as well as they could have.
They did well with Bill, but they didn't do well with the husband. But you know what? That made sense because the guy was a psychopath to begin with. So with Bill, fine, I let that pass. But with this asshole, yeah, I am not there on Jake's side. The guy was insane. He hit Sadie, he sliced her up, but not starting to pieces. Thank God, I didn't go that far. But the guy was nuts.
Oh yeah, he was crazy. He obviously I understood. He called.
I saved my wife.
I mean, all that stuff. It was crazy to watch, and definitely I don't think the show went as far as it. I don't think the book goes as far, but I really applaud the show for going as far as they did because it was a very hard scene to watch, but very well done. And the thing I definitely want to talk about is that I think the best thing about the show, besides the fact that it had great characters and really great stuff like that,
great writing.
So well in so many great scenes. There were so many times where I was on edge, didn't know what was going to happen. And even if the show lost me, I was still really into it. Episode 5 is not my favorite episode of the show by any means.
Yeah.
But that scene is so riveting and I was so into it. I was loving every minute of it. And it was just so great. I loved everything that happened in that scene. It was intense. It was brutal. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen, what the outcome was going to be. And I was completely into it the whole time. Amazing stuff there, really. That was an incredible scene.
I agree with that 100%. That scene, I think with Shane's husband, that was an intense scene. I nearly lost my heartbeat because I know what's gonna happen. I understand. Oh, speaking at the past, let's talk about a very special character, the Yellow Card Man.
Oh God, this guy.
This guy is just I know the way we're talking about, but this guy's intense because. My best guess, he's probably the past personified until in person. He's probably the person who's trying to keep the past intact. Which I'm very confused about him because you see, I know he's not an ally. He's an antagonist.
Yeah.
But why did he want Jake not to? Because if he.
Basically, he's telling him that if you're gonna, you can't change anything. He's tried it because if you remember, he had that. He talks about how I had this daughter and I tried to save her all these times. I just couldn't do it. He's basically telling Jake, you're going to change absolutely nothing. Stop.
Nothing's gonna change.
Yeah, nothing's gonna change. Stop with your mission now. This is completely pointless what you're doing. Just go back to your own time and go from there. And I heard in the book it's a lot more specific. I guess he's the time guard or something.
Time guardian or something like that.
Bunch of other time angels and things like that, and he kind of guards the past and things like that. But this I kind of like more because he had the same experience as Jake, and it fucked up. Obviously, it didn't go so well.
So time loop, basically.
Yeah, I think it made a lot more sense here because here he felt like another man. He didn't feel like he was Jake's superior. He felt more like he was he was another man that went through the same situation as Jake, and I definitely like the way that was done. So I really like the character. He served his purpose well. Obviously he was very creepy at times, definitely. The first episode he's like, you shouldn't be here, the way that was done. And that line is said many times throughout the season.
Yeah, it is. In the first episode, when the lady crashes, like you shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
It said again, and another episode,
yeah.
and especially with I'll just explain more in flashbacks. I like because I like they did that because funny it did show. I'm glad to show Al actually more in the season begin. It didn't show Al in one episode. I would be pissed off. Thank God they show more of him actually in flashback to explain more of the stuff. Like the path pushes back.
Yeah,
Like, one
I
day I have
definitely really
cancer.
enjoyed because the thing is, he has to be thinking that moment, oh, this is something that Al told me to do. This is something that Al told me not to do. I need to remember this from Al. I need to remember this. Even though Al's dead, he still is a big part of the show. Until pretty much episode 8. Because episode 7, he's telling Jake, this is what I told you exactly not to do. He's kind of like Jake's conscience, even though he's a physical person. He's kind of like Jake's conscience with the past.
If we actually wasn't involved actually by George Newbern, I get the name mixed up. It's so hard to pronounce. But George, if you have to learn, then you killed some of it. Now, isn't that when I don't have to kill everyone?
Mm-hmm.
No, like I like that. That actually he would seen when we talked to Chris Cooper. Okay, Al.
Oh yeah, it was great that they brought him back. He was definitely one of the best parts of the show, and they had to keep him on because the first episode, you're loving this character, you want to hear all this more explanation, and then they just kind of end it when he dies. But obviously, we know they had a conversation for 4 hours. So it would make sense that there was more stuff they talked about, and I really enjoyed the way they did that because it had to be 4 hours. We had to see all that stuff, and that was just stuff that we needed to see, and I thought they handled that really well.
Speaking of the Barney Loving, since we have to run 5:26, so we have some time. Speaking of the whole time zone, that's been past thing. One thing that did bug me, and it's kind of negative on this one, and when trying to call his dad, like the phone didn't work, but why didn't he try again? I know the pad pushes back, but that felt confusing because you call his dad. And you didn't get to hit the other line, then car crashes.
True, I completely forgot about that he tries to call his dad in like the first episode, and then it kind of just goes away.
Yeah, like what?
I feel like Jake realized he needs to. I think maybe Jake was thinking, I need to focus on the mission and like what I'm here for, and other things just I need to not focus as much on because I feel like there were a lot of things that Jake wishes he could have done. And plus, we don't know. I mean, in those 3 years, maybe Jake did see his dad, maybe he didn't. We don't really know. There were time definitely, so maybe he could have seen his dad. I don't really know. I feel like it's not a huge detail. It's not really given to us. But yeah, that is something to point out because he does see his dad. I don't know. I feel like they'll be on like the deleted scenes or something.
Probably. Who knows?
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. So yeah, that is something that they didn't do, and I definitely do understand that. And what's interesting is if you watch the first episode and then you go all the way back to the first episode and then you go to episode 8, it feels like a very different show. But like I said, in many ways, it is kind of that way because Jake starts his journey with one thing and leaves.
And he falls in love with Sadie, and he didn't even say Sadie does find out, but she had to even compete at first, which I don't blame her. Because who are you? Like everything you believe said a lie.
Obviously, I mean,
not everything was a lie. I still love you, and she had freak out first, but then at the same time, she does realize that Jake actually would turn true. Actually, wait. After Jake rescued her, obviously. Actually, she had to fight against her husband too, but she had to give Jake the knife or give Jake the fire, right the front of fire.
Yeah. She saw like those sex tapes and thought there was like a sex tape thing going on. Like Marina and Oz wanted to know what was going on there.
Yeah, which it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then
I like it.
So shady. Like, what do you think? Like, oh, I'm an actor. I'm making a movie. Like, what do you think? Like, it's not plausible. There's no way that that's actually going on. And obviously, he had to keep these secrets. Like, he had to try to keep this as much a secret as possible because he didn't want.
He couldn't do it anymore. He realized that I can't keep lying to her.
Yeah, it wasn't working.
Yeah, which he finally does, which I like. Because one thing I know, actually, I'm seeing tired of two different love interests that. One man, they don't believe actually the guy trying true, and then the man actually she thinks it's all bullshit. But
yeah.
I'm sick and tired of two different love interests. one thing I would show the smart, like she is two-dimensional character. She's not two-dimensional or one-dimensional or any other bullshit. No, she realized in general after she really didn't want to do something not right with Jake. She pursues it, but then when she finds out, yes, she freaks out, but then she realized that Jake is not a bad guy. He's a good guy, and then Jake tells her the truth, which I like.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it was much as Sadie's story as it was Jake's in many ways, because we followed Sadie's journey. We knew what she went through. You know, she had this husband that abused her. She kind of denied it because obviously it was illegal to, it was illegal to be married in like those states, which I thought was very interesting. We found that out.
Yeah,
and then she kind of goes on this thing with Jake, and they kind of just go for it while she's still married, and she didn't tell him, which I thought was a very interesting situation. And the way that was all done, yeah, I thought she was very well fleshed out, and they definitely really did show her character and I think explored her fullest potential.
I agree with 100% because that made me so happy they did that, because unlike some other shows I know, LO and all that bullshit, this show at a smart woman who's not an idiot, who's not two-dimensional, and actually had the brain, and we were not taking the time to then she's lying as well because she was trying to get away with her husband, and when she told him about him. That's confusing because she got missed that. She told Jake the truth, and Jake wanted to do it well, but Al specifically said that you can't fall in love because you fall in love and you like get trapped in the past, and you're trying to bad, and you think it's real, even if it's not. With that was another thing I like to do because Al even specifically said that Jake should not fall in love or get attached, because if you get attached, then you get attached to the past. And he forgot his mission. Warned them. Speaking of the past, let's talk about what jump to episode 7 when you get the amnesia. Actually, episode 6, because for those of you know, the reason why Jake got amnesia in episode 7 was because he did gambling after all these guys, and these guys, well, they're not happy. Yeah, they're kind of pissed off.
They know that he's definitely doing something. They know there's a reason why because he keeps getting all the same numbers. Obviously, he got them from the books, and that's how he knows that those are going to be the numbers. But they start to wonder, hey, why are you getting all these numbers? And they just
how you know this stuff.
Obviously, they want the money. They don't want him to win every time. And
yeah, they're pissed.
Yeah, which I thought was very well done. And the thing that's like most heartbreaking, I think, about that is right before that he has this phone conversation with Sadie. He says, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do. I know
after he interrogate the Russian.
Yeah, after he interrogates George, basically. I know what I need to do. I know what I need. I know I need to do with Oswald. Just give me a few more minutes. I'm then gonna come home and we're gonna get married. And it's a really bittersweet scene because right after that, then he loses amnesia and completely forgets all that. And
boy say I, and then he runs.
Yeah, and I think Sadie really wanted them to get married, but she just knew after that there was no way that was going to happen because he completely forgot.
Yeah, but amnesia because oh shit! Like when it's getting beat up, I did not see that one coming because holy shit! Like they would beat the shit out of he's breathing, he's almost dying, and that.
Yeah, and especially since the miniseries, anything could have happened. He could have had amnesia for the rest of the show, which if he would have had amnesia for the rest of the show, I would have been really pissed off. I'm glad it was only one episode. I'm glad that it wasn't like, oh, he has amnesia, he still has amnesia here. That just would have been a stupid
that was a stupid cop-out.
That's a cop-out. That's what it is. It's a cop-out. It gets us from where we want to go. It slows things down. That's not at all what they did. They skipped in time to show how he slowly starts to get things back. I love the way they did it, too, because logically, if you have amnesia, you're going to remember some things. You're not going to forget everything. You're not going to remember, you're going to remember who you are. You're going to remember, where you're supposed to be, things like that. But you're going to forget a lot of small details. And that's exactly what Jake forgot. He knew certain things. Like he knew Bill and him were doing something. He just didn't know what it was. Or he knew Jake and Sadie, they were getting together, but he didn't know what they were really going to do. And that's something I thought was very well done. The way that basically they all knew what he was doing, but basically, the whole situation with Bill, that kind of got screwed up because everything happened in the mental hospital. And then with Sadie, when she basically, she knew that they were going to get married. She never directly tells him that we were going to get married, which I thought was interesting because I feel like she wants to kind of keep that to herself so she doesn't heartbreak, so he doesn't feel, heartbreak and feel like, oh, I lost all this stuff and things like that. But then at the end, he does get his memory back, and basically that's how he realizes that he needs to kill Oswald. And I thought that was just a perfect way to do it, because like I said, they could have easily done like the rest of the show. He has amnesia, and luckily they didn't do that, and I was very happy about that.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with 100% because unlike some other shows that did amnesia, which doing stupidly, this showed the smart thing though at the end, and we ended up that Jay had to have mission, but obviously his friend, well, colleague, didn't trust him anymore, so there's only one option. Like he go to Oswald's house, and then he remembers everything, which I like that because frankly, when some shows do amnesia, they screw it up.
Yeah.
How they screw it up? By doing something stupid, like conveniently remembers everything.
Yeah, I'd rather be with this person.
That's not how amnesia works.
Do you like the movie with like Rachel McAdams, the vow, do that sort of thing, where she like forget who they are and everything. What I like is that he knew who he was, he knew his mission, he just didn't know the small details, and logically that would make sense. And that's the thing that with the 11/22/60 in general, it stayed realistic, it stayed grounded, and I think they did that really well in that episode, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Similar. Let's get to the final episode because I think we're running out of time anyway.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah. Okay. The final episode. Okay. The game is set. Like all the pieces are in play, and Jake said he has to go to save JFK. Well, actually, before we get episode 8, we go to episode 7. When Jake remembers everything, he and Sadie that they do have to go to because Sadie really a liar. That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like this show does have comedy, which I like, but
definitely
forced comedy, which is stupid and slapstick. It's organic comedy. Because you just see me in this series, well, the bad ones we got. You did have bad comedy and bad dialogue and bad writing, like the dome, like on the dome, but
oh my god, I heard it was terrible.
It's bad. I watched some episode of season 2, season 3. Why the hell did that show season 2, season 3? It should have done one season.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. I was bored. I didn't like it. I hear it's like one of those shows you watch just to make fun of. Like you just laugh at it. It's one of those kind of shows.
So stupid.
Yeah, and that was the other thing we should talk about with this is that this was really the first Stephen King miniseries that was good all the way through. Like the only one I can think of that was actually good was It, but only the first half is good. The rest of it's not acting, you guys know. And this never felt that way. Like it never felt like there was something where there was a portion where it wasn't working. Even when things didn't work, it still worked because the characters were so good, the acting's so good, and they really want to make this as good as possible, which is why it really worked for me.
Yeah, it didn't feel more horror, it felt more sci-fi, which I like because we didn't have the time going into things, but that wouldn't work. It's more grounded, more realistic.
Yeah.
Well, realistic to the point that the time travel was confusing. To take that quote from Looper, the time travel crap, or just boring like an egg. Like, thank you, Looper. Like, I love that movie. Anywho, yeah. Anywho, after he talked to the actually wait. Speaking of the Old Man, the Old Man did appear in episode I think 6, I think. Yeah, when Sadie began surgery. That was intense.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like I thought she was gonna die. You could always shit. Because the past you really want to fuck with Jay. Like that's why I like about the show.
Yeah, definitely. You could tell the past, like I said, through and through, I think, was the villain of the show. Even though his goal was to kill Lee Harvey Oswald, he wasn't the villain. The past was the villain. The past fucked things up. The past ruined things, definitely. And that's really what worked. Especially when we get to episode 8. Yeah, episode 8 I thought was a really great ending. I thought it really worked. It really showed the consequences of everything that Jake did. And what I like the most is that I thought the entire episode was going to be let's stop Oswald, and then kind of like the aftermath, like 10 minutes. No, the first 14 minutes, Oswald's already dead. The president is saved, and Jake's going to jail. Sadie's dead. I mean, now we need to focus on the consequences, which is what makes sense because the show was not about let's save Kennedy. Yes, that was his primary goal. The show
mission consequences
that Jake does by doing what Al told him exactly not to do, pretty much.
Oh yeah, I'm speaking at the pad, episode 8, the final episode. The pad does fuck with Jake in the show, but this time it showed like full like full throttle.
Oh yeah, like the car that almost runs them over.
Like,
There's like the building closes. That guy doesn't know that Oswald's in there. He closed the building early. There's like crowds of people they need to get through. I mean, this is all the past pushing back. It's crazy the way that was done.
The past didn't want anything to change. Because the past want to keep everything like consistent. Like time itself want to keep everything consistent because people don't really understand time itself is not good. It's kind of an enemy.
Yeah.
Like, Quantum Break does this too, sort of. It did with much more natural, much more crazy. But time itself is kind of a liver. And to put in simple terms, like Back to the Future, like if you change one in the past, you know, it creates a tangent or a river pond.
Yeah.
Like a splash.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like the Ultimate 1985 when like it's skewed in that thing. Yeah, that's kind of what 11/20/63 did. It kind of pulled it back to the future too at the end when we realized that all the things that Jake did ruined the future, and I thought was an
we'll get to that part later. Before we get to that part, let's get to we have it onward again to episode 8. When Jake was trying to kill Oswald was trying to kill Brian, like, that was intense because I thought he was not gonna make it. I thought he was gonna make it, but he made like, holy shit, like Oswald just like.
Yeah, what I was thinking they were going to do. What I was thinking is that they wouldn't change anything. Like it would just the future would stay the way it is because it's a major event. You can't change it because I heard the book. That's exactly what happens. He changes nothing. And you know, basically he did change it. I was I was happy that he pulled off the mission. But then when Sadie dies again, that's kind of the past because you know something happens. Sadie's now shot.
Consequences and holy shit! When she died, I cried.
Oh
that moved me. I don't want to see her die.
Yeah, I didn't tear up there. I teared up like towards the end. The end is definitely where I started to get a bit teary-eyed, which we'll get into.
Yeah,
with death, I was like, oh yeah, I don't think she's gonna stay dead. I feel like she's gonna come back somehow because obviously Jake's not just gonna let her die. This is the love of his life. This is the girl that kind of changed his life forever. He's not just gonna let her die. It's that simple. And basically, when he's talking to those police, which I thought they really did a good job of making these police a lot more than just angry policemen. Like, obviously, Captain Fritz, whatever, he was kind of a dick, but Agent Host, I like that he actually did want to listen to Jake. Like, he actually understood that Jake was telling the truth and that he did actually realize that, you know, there is some levity in what Jake is saying. It's not complete bullshit. He actually does have, you know, some reason, especially when that guy, you know, he's like, oh, your handler's going to come in and tell you this. And then that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, the FBI agent knew and then what that we all were going to kill the president, which that doesn't really into question with the whole real life history and the show because we don't know what the FBI was doing with the RD. The FBI knew we all were going to the president because if they knew, why didn't they stop him? Yeah. And even the agent we are, who cares? Like who cares about JFK? Right? Like, we control the system, not the president. Like that's been in the question. Did FBI really cover everything up, or were they in on this? We don't know.
I mean, I feel like they remember Jake asks Agent Hosty, you know, why didn't you try to stop this? He doesn't give him an answer. It's really interesting. He didn't actually give him a specific answer as to whether he stopped it or not. Because
they want a scapegoat.
Yeah, whether it wasn't important or something where he just doesn't want to tell him. I feel like he just said, you know what, you've done what you need to do. Go back to your own time. I understand that you need to disappear. Obviously, he didn't know he was from the future or anything, but he knew he definitely could trust him and that this wasn't the shady guy they thought he was. And I definitely really like the way that was done. So I kind of felt like it wasn't necessary to find out why they didn't try to stop it. But yeah, that is a good question. Why didn't they try to stop it? Because they didn't realize there wasn't anything they could have done. I don't really know. But you have to remember, I mean, crowds of people were gathered not to see an assassination, but to just see the president. They were there to see the president, and like we saw that, and they didn't really think anything bad was going to happen. Maybe that's why they didn't. You know, maybe there obviously I think were police there, but I don't really think they thought it was going to be a shooting rather than was just going to be an event with the president arriving.
Yeah, because no one knew what's going on. No one knew the president got shot without the way in the question why the FBI not stop him. Which that's a whole different topic on that day. We can talk about all the Jeff conspiracy.
Yeah.
Days. Anyways, speaking about JFK, we have to get kind of a JFK, sort of. That's great. Basically, after Jake said JFK. He gets arrested. FBI basically interrogate him, but the handler commends the agent that he said the president talks to Jake on the phone. I like that scene. That scene was very heartwarming because obviously it wasn't the real Jake. The real Jake is dead, unfortunately. But it actually that really good scene there when the president talks to Jake. I like that scene. That's very heartwarming.
Oh yeah, because I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, it's too on the nose," or like, no, it would make sense though, because he's the savior. He's the one that saved them, and I like that they offered their condolences. I thought it was just a good closure to Kenny. It was a good closure. Really, that's what it was. It was closing out everything, and that's really what this episode was. It was all about closure, closing out storylines, making sure that nothing wasn't closed. Because I really felt they closed everything. I don't think there was anything they didn't close.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to the whole. Let's get to the final part that was sort of, but let's get to the part where the thing that kind of ticked me off. And sorry, like he basically had to hear that I fixed everything. Like trying to see what the I forget the line, the features of it, and then what happened to the diner. Like I did not see that one coming. Like, holy shit!
That was crazy. When he wakes up, the diner's just gone. Al's not there. And then when I heard people say, we never got a specific answer what happened in the diner wouldn't be there. It'd be gone because it's in ruins. I mean, the diner would have never been there. That's kind of what I saw. Because when he asked the woman's like, what the fuck are you talking about? There is no diner.
What year is this? 2016.
Yeah, it was crazy because I was thinking we were in the future at first, and then we realized 2016. It's crazy the way that was done, but it does kind of make sense. I mean, think about if Kennedy would have gone on to be the president, we think it'd be good, but maybe it wouldn't be because there's no such thing as world peace, and there had to be someone else. Because I always thought, oh, no one killed Kennedy. There had to be someone else that wanted to kill Kennedy, for all you know, and
yeah.
We know that George Wallace became the president, who I think he ran against Kennedy. He ran against the president before. And basically he lost, but he's become president, we find out. And then Kennedy went on to make these kind of like internment camps, honestly, which is very interesting.
Which is messed up. Yeah,
definitely. It's really crazy what Kennedy did, that he made these internment camps, and it made Harry's life even worse. And I love that scene with Harry because Jake thinks by saving Harry's family, he did the right thing, when in reality, it just made his life worse because Harry at least had Jake. He had Jake in the future. Jake was the one that was there for him. He understood Harry. He was kind of like a fatherly figure towards him, things like that. And, because Harry was kind of, he had a mental problem, definitely. We knew that definitely there was, we don't know exactly what it was. We knew there was just, he had like a learning disability.
Yeah, learning disability.
He'd obviously be completely broken. He's lost everything. He's living this world by himself.
Lost his mother, lost his sister, lost his brother.
He's a broken man. He really is. They really just, that scene killed me, really. That scene killed me.
Yeah, that should kill me too because holy shit. Like,
yeah.
I find Jonathan when just save Harry's family. I thought it would be fun, but it turns out it went the hell without this agenda. Everything went to shit because the nuclear war. That scene kind of got Fallout. That scene was Fallout.
Yeah, definitely interesting stuff. And the other thing I like is that I was hoping we'd see Harry because that was a huge thing that they never exactly talked about again. But Jake always obviously thought about. One of the biggest things he did was kill Frank. And I'm glad we got back to that. It was such a big part of the show in the first scene. I mean, the first scene we ever got was Harry talking about his family. So you knew we had to go back to that at some points. And I'm glad that we did, in fact, get back to that. And it really was, again, very good closure to his story, and especially the scene after when Jake doesn't change anything, which we'll get into. That last scene where Harry basically says, thank you for thinking about me, and Jake says, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. Harry, of course, thinks he's just talking about this promotion, but Jake, we know he's talking about more, and it's a very effective scene the way that's done. That relationship is they're going to be closer than ever. You definitely do see that, and I love the way they closed out that relationship. Definitely Leon Rippey, I think his name is. Yeah, Leon Rippey was definitely one of the emotional highlights of the show, without a doubt.
I agree 100% because after he played Harry he played old Harry in both timelines. Yes. Both great. He won a best part of the entire series. Speaking of the whole post-apocalyptic in the future, this having this probably question about the whole timeline been effed up. One, how the hell did this all happen? Which they explained well, but two, who
who got the nuclear war? Was it not Jordan? I could pretty get the pun's name. Like, Wallace got nuclear war.
Mhm.
Like what?
Well, think about the Vietnam War. It didn't happen, and 9/11
it
didn't
never
happen
happened.
either. So maybe something else happened. I mean, we didn't really get details. I think Harry only knew what he knew because he's living in this small, confined space. He only knows what he knows, and
Yeah.
he didn't know the specific reason. That's kind of what I saw. I mean, they didn't need to give specific reasons because Jake's not interested in why this all happened. He's more interested in what happened to all these people. Where's Sadie? Things like that. Why is, why are you living here? And that's really what we focused on. And then, of course, Jake decides to go back.
Actually, I fucked up. I need to go back in time. I need to go back, and he was 70, which
He needs
then
to
he gets
reset everything.
assholes.
Yeah, which we knew once he reset everything, then the president, was going to live. And
Right.
that the president dies. He's going to not try to save the president. He's not going to have the whole thing with Bill. He just wants Sadie. That's his main purpose, is to be with Sadie, because Sadie's the thing that really drives his life forward. And
Yeah.
he sees Sadie, and basically when he sees her, she's in that diner with her. She's in that
Wait.
car. Yeah, she's in the car. The difference is people always say,
Episode 1.
yeah, the way they did, I love the way they did that too, because we saw these two girls in a car, didn't think of much, but then we realized that Sadie's in that car with them. He goes to follow her to a diner. She obviously thinks he's crazy because he's saying all these things he knows about her. And then the yellow card man comes out, tell him, what's going on, everything, that he shouldn't do this and that he's not going to change anything, and that.
Yeah, because y'all call my and say like I tried to send him like you did. I tried to send my daughter, but that failed.
Yeah.
I tried over and over. It can work. So even if you fall over Sadie, do all that over again, it wouldn't matter because she'll die anyway.
Yeah, he brings up this idea as well that he's going to be in like this consistent loop, like this loop that's just not going to stop. And it's very interesting the way he brings this up. But basically, Jake decides that he is in the last moment. He's like, okay, I am going to listen to him. He doesn't decide to do anything with Sadie. He goes back, pretty much changes nothing, which is kind of how the book ends. But Jake does have an impact. He obviously is a much different person now. He feels much more affected. He feels like he's lived more. He feels like he's done more in his life. He's not as broken as he was. And even though we didn't see Al's obviously gone. We know, I think Al's dead probably. We're not going to see him again. I thought it was a good way to close things, definitely. And then the very last scene, what did you think of the last scene?
Here's my thought at the part scene, after the put the puzzle down, after you go back in time and reset everything. But I kind of felt angry at first because you tell me, he went all this bullshit, all this JFK, all this pointless. What? Like, I felt rage. But the more I think about it, it actually makes sense because saving JFK would be, we don't know what the American would be if it's JFK, if it's good or bad. And when he realized that he effed up, he realized that, okay, send JFK with a whole I screwed up and I'm going to be city. Y'all called me, explained that you can't do that because it doesn't matter, she'll die anyway. So he takes his advice, he goes as the president, and then he basically talks to Harry, which I agree. That scene was touching, the scene what that they went to president. That was at the very hot scene. And we got to Sadie, he's older, which makes sense, but I felt confused because wait a minute. So if Sadie is old, and how did he know actually about Jake? That confused me.
Because remember he says you remember me in an alternate universe. I feel like she kind of has that feeling, like she kind of remembers Jake, or maybe she thinks it was a dream or something. Maybe she's
not right.
Dream, but she somehow just remembers the name Jake Amberson. She never specifically says, "Oh, I know who you are," but she says that name just sounds vaguely familiar.
That sounds very familiar. Which makes sense.
Knows who he is, and I thought it was a good way to close it out because you see that even though obviously it's a very different situation, he does get Sadie in the end, and he is going to get back together with her, and it does seem like he's kind of the thing that, and at least the main thing is that he's not there to get back together with her. He's there to make sure she had a good life because he gave her a good life. He wanted to make sure that she had a good life without him, and that she's not dead. And of course, I'm sure he believed that she's not dead because obviously what Johnny did to her. And We see that she is okay. She had a good life. It seems like those two are going to end up together. And I thought it was a good way for the show to end, especially the ending when that last line, I can remember that last line, I just thought was perfect. I can't remember what it was. But when they did the parallels to the very end of the show, to the very end where they showed the very first dance they ever had together. I mean, that was perfect the way they did it. Because it really did feel like it was the first time. And I believe it was the same song that they were dancing to.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was. It felt very 1960s-esque. And the thing that made me tear up was the letter. That letter that Deke wrote was very emotional. You could tell the impact it had on Jake. And for Jake, this isn't just a letter being read. I mean, this letter made a big impact on him. It made a lot. And basically, the last line, of course, Jake says they met another life. That's how the show ends. I thought it was a very good ending. It was a good way to tie things up. I got a little tear. Yeah, definitely. I thought a good way to tie things up. And I definitely really enjoyed it.
I like that too, because that makes sense, because change the path of dire consequences, and Jake realized that he's feeling, and with Sadie it makes sense because he realized that, okay, I can't do it anymore, I can't fall in love, so you know what, I'm gonna take your car and leave. And then he goes to the plane, he talked to Sadie again one last time, and that would have been hard for scene. I like that. Some people do read the book that, wait, it's not like the book. What the hell? This is stupid.
Yeah, I like that they did something different, though, because I said it in my review. I don't like it when you just do a word-for-word adaptation of a book. Nobody wants that. Read the book. That's what books are for. Books are for original stories. I like it that this kept most of the story intact, but it did change things that they felt would have made it, more interesting. And because of the show, a TV show and a book are two very different kinds of media.
Mediums.
Yeah, a book, you read for a while. Sometimes you might put it down. Maybe you read for months and months and months. You get engrossed. And TV, you do the same thing. But a TV, you need to stay consistent and you need to stay invested in a TV show because it's easy to, drift out of a TV show because there's something else you might want to do. You might want to check your phone. While a book, you have to read very intently. And some shows, yes, you have to focus very intently. But 11/22/63 is that it didn't do a word-for-word adaptation. For people who read the book, they said, all right, there are people that haven't read the book. Let's change some things up so that way they don't have to really read the book. That way they can still read the book and not feel they're just watching the show again. I thought that was very well done, and that was something I definitely really enjoyed that they did that. And I wish that more book adaptations did that because there's so many books that they didn't keep this in or they took this out or things like that.
Case in point, Allegiant and Divine Order bullshit.
It seems like there are two different kinds. Either they tell the whole story, or they just don't, or they leave out the most important details. And this did neither of those things. It kept it kept things that are most important and kept in and then added to it a little bit by just putting in some things that they felt were more necessary to the story or more interesting. And I definitely really appreciate that.
Yep, that's right. And okay, we're running out of time, John. It's almost 6 o'clock, and you probably have to go see a movie. Okay. My bond at NXT, I felt at first I felt pissed off because you're telling me that he went all day would be pointless. But in time though, after I bothered for days, I realized that, you know what? This ending actually makes sense. It's not a bad ending. That's one of those things you need to think about, and then you really like it more. Like when you see a movie and you don't fully understand it, you think about it, then you're like, all right, that makes sense. Kind of like this. You really need to think about it. It's good, but anyway, it's not bad. Not gonna make a horrible movie.
Yeah.
Which that happened to me. Not that I mean, sometimes there was some movies or some TV or some.
Yeah, that's like me. I've said things are really good, and then I look back and I'm like, that actually sucked. Why'd I say that? But overall, my thoughts on 11/22/63, I really enjoyed it. Not a perfect show, but very close to perfect. I definitely really enjoyed it. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I think it's definitely shown what Hulu is capable of because this was the first Hulu show I watched that was – actually, the first one I watched was Casual. This was the second one I watched. Now I'm watching The Path, which is already off to a great start. Definitely check that out if you haven't. But, yeah, I think it's really paved the way for Hulu. I really enjoyed overall. Really engrossing miniseries that kept me invested, and I'd probably give it an A if I had to grade it.
Yep, I'll give my way. And okay, I'm going to change to 63. We're sorry that we skipped ahead a lot, but did the 8-part miniseries short. But and the miniseries is a great miniseries because unlike some other show, Under the Dome, which is complete garbage, don't watch that show. That show is not good. This show
started off as a miniseries and then continued as a series. That was the problem. It's supposed to be a miniseries.
Yeah, it's just a miniseries. Whoever came out with it to expand the show should be fired immediately because you can be screwed with the book. The book probably did it much more better. That's what books are for. But don't get me wrong. After this show, I mean, did the book justice.
Yeah.
But it did its own thing of it because don't know, I'm fine with book adaptation if they're done right, if they're keep source material. Like unlike comics or graphic novels, comic novels, same thing. That have storylines. This story, though, I think would particularly point. It made sense. It wasn't confusing, wasn't convoluted, it wasn't enraging. It actually, and plus, before I got time travel itself is a very tricky subject because sometimes and it's confusing, very confusing. It's convoluted, and you fall into traps like Age of Ultron. Not the movie, the comic. The actual Age of Ultron comic. That's a time travel, but that got way too confusing, way too convoluted. Then, like, what's going on? What age is it? What? It made no sense. This show actually knows to do time travel, but it focused more on the characters. It focused more on the. It does time travel, but it does time travel justice. It makes more sense. Some books do time travel, they F it up. This show actually did time travel. I love the character, I love the story, I love the writing, and my rating. After my rating, I give it a drama, please. A 4 out of 5 stars.
All right.
Is it perfect? No. Is it a great miniseries? I think so because unlike some other miniseries that pissed me off, like American Horror Story, which their endings are so stupid for some of the endings, but this show did much more smarter, and I give 4 out of 5 stars, and I highly recommend you watch the show. If you're a Who subscriber, I recommend you do see it. If you don't, then you're missing out.
All right.
What happened? Oh. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry, my mom was calling me.
Okay. All right. What I said, I get 4 out of 5. Sorry. Is it perfect? No. Is it one of the best time shows of all time? No. But you know what? It's still one of the best time shows we had in a long time because frankly, a lot of time shows or some other show the movie that's how to do premise that screwed up. This show actually made sense, and it wasn't convoluted, it wasn't confusing. It was straight to the point. It had a good book adaptation. I recommend it. And to people who complain that this should never read the book,
Doing a quad review.
that's the point.
Before they go to bed, because they're gonna be tired. They've been here now.
Damn. So it is, folks. Oh. So, what we didn't talk the police. Alright. My friend had to leave, so I'm going to shortly. Thank you for joining for 11/22/63. Sorry that we're going to interrupt it. And you can find my friend channel in the description. And I hope you guys go to it. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Anyway, before I forget, look at 50 Paper on Twitter and please subscribe to the channel. That's everyone. Peace out. And I recommend you watch the show. Bye. Oh, you guys can find my friend channel after you're doing it's in the description. Karen Falk. I'll leave you link, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.